You can preview this data set on the Hugging Face website, but I thought it would be interesting to dive into this data set a little more. So I used the Hugging Face API to download a preview of this data set, and I put it into HTML format so that I could navigate it in my browser. I also grouped the prompts by their use case, and then I went through and highlighted the text in each of the prompts that is like the instruction to the model. So you'll see as we go through here, a lot of these prompts have some context, whether that's an article to answer questions about, or a set of facts to use to generate a paragraph summary or something like that. I was interested to see the difference in the prompt text between contextual information that tells the model what to talk about in the output versus the instruction part of the prompt that tells the model the shape the output should be in. So let's look at a few examples. So here's that HTML file in my browser. The input prompts are on the left side and the expected output is on the right side. The first use case here is what I'm calling fill in the blank. You can see that there's text like an article, and then there's a little placeholder, and then an instruction telling the model to guess what should fill in for the placeholder. So that's one use case that's in here. Another use case that's very interesting is the analysis or the logic kind of use case. So you can see here we've got sentence 1 and sentence 2, or question 1 and question 2, and then there's a question to the model asking, are these two things the same, or is this an accurate summary of that? This analysis or logic question use case is pretty interesting to look at. There's a lot of examples in here of prompts doing sentiment analysis. I suppose you could say sentiment analysis is a type of classification, but I've separated the sentiment analysis from more generic classification examples. So here we can see some classification examples. And then information extraction. So given an article or a couple of sentences, pull out what are the themes or what are the details inside. And then there's question answering. So there is an example here of general knowledge question answering, but most of the prompts here have an article or a bulleted list of facts, and then the model is supposed to answer a question asked about that context. There were a lot of prompts in this data set that specifically say generate a title for whatever the text is. And then summarize is a really common use case, so you can see all kinds of examples here of prompting the model to summarize an article from the news or whatever. And then there's the generation use case. So there's a couple of cases at the beginning here that are asking the model to generate something quite short. And then you can also see some prompts trying to get the model to generate text that's quite long. What I find really interesting about going through this is the variety in the prompt style and format. It's pretty clear here that there is no one right or best way to prompt this model. This fine-tuning dataset shows that you can prompt the model in a variety of ways to get the same kind of output that you need for a given use case.